Hi, this is Marcus Pulis, and this is Aquarian Anarchy. Today I'm going to be talking about the two topics you're not supposed to talk about. I'm going to talk about religion and politics. Truthfully, when coming from my perspective, it's the anti-religion and anti-politics. Not that I have anything particularly against any religion. I have lots against politics, but what I believe isn't particularly religious in that it is more about greater ideas instead of a particular point of view. As I've talked about before, I personally practice a particular unusual religion, but as it relates to politics and religion, both, we're told in our society to not talk about those things. We're told, well, you might offend somebody. Offend people. It is because we haven't been offending people that we are in the state that we are. The powers that be don't want you talking amongst yourselves. They don't want you talking about important ideas. I'm not saying that my ideas are all right. They may be all bunk. I don't know. I'm not the dispenser of all truths in the universe. Now, that being said, I have studied a lot, both when it comes to political ideas and to religious ideas. And I like to believe that my personal beliefs are based on not only ethics, but on a deep understanding of how nature and the universe works. And you might say, well, what does that have anything to do with politics? Well, I don't think you escape nature just because you put it in front of people and maybe vote on it or have those kinds of ideas. I think that nature is all-encompassing and is everything that is. So what this has led me personally to believe is I'm quite a deist. For those that you don't know, deism is a belief that was, I don't want to say created because it's one of those beliefs that's been around for a very long time. You can make arguments that Epicurus or even Aristotle were deists, but it really became popular, especially as a title, around the Revolutionary War in the United States. Some religious figures, if you will, that you will recognize are people like Thomas Jefferson or Benjamin Franklin, in particular Thomas Paine, who has become a massive influence on me, or Voltaire. It tended to be a Western European or American religious sect, and you can trace back its roots and figure all that out on your own. But the idea behind deism is that God might be everything that is and might be all-powerful, all-knowing, maybe, but he doesn't really get involved. Benjamin Franklin talked about that God was like a watchmaker and that he made a watch, being the universe, and he wound it and he let it go and let the world develop how it would and just kind of step back and watched. And I think that might be how it is. I actually disagree with it to a degree. I think that God is conscious, and I think that God has a consciousness. But like my politics, it isn't that simple. I'm an anarchist, and I don't believe in centralized power. And because I don't believe in centralized power, that makes my understanding of God also not fit into that paradigm. I've also had lots of experiences in my life. I was involved with various magical active spiritualities such as Wicca or voodoo, those kinds of things. And I've seen archangels and I've experienced those things. So for me, those things are real and not I've recently been studying Osho and Rajneesh and his teachings and how he looks at things. One of the things that really impacted me about him, and I'm not going to get into the issues that he had, and I'm not going to talk about his group. Every human being is flawed, but he had some good things to say. And what Osho said was, one of the many things that he said was that belief isn't a good, and this isn't a quote, this is my understanding of what he had to say, that belief isn't necessarily a good thing. And it's not that you disbelieve in something, it is that he used the analogy of a rose. You don't believe in a rose. You know that the rose exists. You know things about that rose. You can describe it. You can describe the thorns. You can describe the petals. You can describe the color. You know those things exist. Believing in God and knowing the universe, as Osho might have put it, are two very different things. I don't believe in the things that I believe in because I want to. For me, it is, I have witnessed these things. And again, through political means, that's why I believe the things or see the things that I see in political terms. So let's talk about religion. Let's talk about politics. We need to come together and talk about these ideas as a people. And I'm talking about the entire world. When we're not talking, we tend to get mad and fight each other. And violence, I'm again a voluntarist or an anarchist. I don't believe in violence. I don't believe in coercion. I don't believe in forcing other people. Don't get me wrong. Violence can be used to protect yourself, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when we talk instead of picking up arms or fighting, we tend to find, at least I tend to find, that we agree more than we disagree. No one wants to be a slave. Nobody wants someone to rule over them. Everyone agrees you own yourself. Now, there might be people who, when talking about other people, talking about the higher rungs of government or whatever, who believe that they own somebody else, that is their ability to control others, and that they own the process. That's certainly true and can be proven out multiple times. But they don't believe that somebody else owns them. Nobody wants to be owned. I'm not a slave. Nobody wants to be a slave. So why would we want that in religion either? Who would want a king? To me, the universe is a decentralized system. And being so, I think that it is better to converse, to come together, to talk. When a Christian wants to talk to me, I talk to them. I'm honest with them. Oh, sure, sometimes I might couch some of the things I believe into terms that they may understand a little better. It's not that I'm trying to deceive them, because I'm not. But, you start talking about magic to a Christian, they immediately get a picture of the devil, and they start thinking that you're calling up demons into your basement. And that might be something I've done, but they don't need to know about that. But the point is that we have more in common than we have apart. And as we discuss things, as we put these ideas together, whether politically or religiously, then we collate around central ideas of peace, harmony, love. Those are the kinds of ideas that come out of those kinds of discussions. And it's a much easier task for those who seek to control the narrative when people aren't talking about those things. They say that, well, it causes fights. Okay, you're not going to cause somebody in your workplace to whip out a gun more often than not. It's just not going to happen more often than not. I'm sure that there will be a example. And that's the thing, you know, you cannot guarantee no violence. You can't. You can't guarantee that somebody's not going to get pissed off. It just cannot be done because that is reality. You know, these statists continue to try to make us like be 100% effective when they are not even 10% effective about anything they do. What do they control? What do they actually stop? You know, talk about like crime. You know, in all of these television shows that the statists want to point to, you have this law enforcement officer who is just loves his job and he's investigating what. That's not how it works. That's not even remotely what happens when there's a crime. Let's say somebody breaks into your house and assaults somebody in your family. You're going to, they're going to be there for a while. Let's say they didn't kill him, they just hurt him. So we come in, you get home, you find your loved one, you may be unconscious, and so I'm going to call the police. So let's first paint this as a good response from law enforcement. And then I'll get into other things in a moment. So you call the police and you say, sir, my house has been broken into. My loved one has been hurt. They're okay, but they were unconscious. Should I call an ambulance? And maybe they say, no, you shouldn't call an ambulance if they're fine, blah, 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 blah. We're going to send an officer over. So they send an officer over. That officer comes over and he comes in. He takes down a report and he says, do you have a description? More than likely, if they broke in, they were unexpected, they're going to have a jumbled, at best, description of who attacked them. So they have very little to work on. So they leave, okay, with their report. And that's usually where it ends. And that's the good situation. That's if things worked out the way you want them to. They aren't going to go, track down leads, and they're not going to do all that. Sure, if it just happened and they can get it out, they may go looking for them. But if it's hours later, why? Why would they go looking for them? These people are long gone. They're not going to track them down. They're not going to sit around going, we've got to solve this case. That's not going to happen. What is more likely? Let's say that you have somebody breaks into your house. They had something they wanted to break into your house for. Let's say that maybe, I don't know, you're not exactly a 100% statist wanting to be with the government. Let's say that you sell marijuana. So they come over to your house. Now, they're going to immediately, because there's a good chance they've amassed some information about you, they're going to look around. Suddenly, you're the problem. Suddenly, they're investigating you. They don't really care that your loved one was beat up. They're investigating you, even if you didn't do anything. Let's say that you happen to have some beer bottles that you forgot on your table. Well, was she drunk? Did she? Suddenly, you're the victim. They are constantly looking around. My point is that is the state of our politics in the United States. We're putting trust somewhere where trust should not be. These people are not at all interested in you. They're not at all interested in your well-being. They're interested in their own well-being. Recently it was upheld again that it is not the job of a law enforcement officer. And notice I had to say law enforcement officer, not police. Law enforcement officer. I had to say that. But it's not their job to serve and protect. It is their job to collect revenue and to enforce laws. So they're not there to protect you. Government never, it has the idea of serving you. Now, they might accidentally serve you. They might be doing what they do, raising revenue and whatever, and because of that, and they accidentally serve you. That's not their point. It's not their purpose. Religion, on the other hand, again, is a business. Their purpose, in every religion that I am aware of that teaches this, it doesn't matter if Christian, Jewish, Muslim, that relationship is between you and God. That relationship is your relationship as it relates to spirituality. And a religion is nothing more than a collection or a religious organization or a place where you can get together with people that kind of believe the same as you do to discuss stuff, but we're not supposed to talk about stuff. So it's become indoctrination. I have a church straight across the street from my house, and it's a Methodist church. I don't have anything against Methodists, but there is bells that are on this church. Now, they're not real bells. They're a recording, and which might be better if it was real bells, because these are off tune, and I'm like, why are you playing off tune through a speaker? Anyway, their bells are aimed directly at my house. I mean directly at my house. And it was bad enough listening to 10 minutes every hour during the day of church music. But it's near Memorial Day, shortly before Memorial Day, after Easter, they started playing patriotic songs from the church aimed at my house. I got to hear America, the Marine song, the Air Force song, the Navy song, and the Army song. I get to hear all that every hour on the hour for 10 minutes every day. How is that religious? And how is that any different than the call to prayer? These people are about control, whether you're talking politically or religiously. I think that a religion or a personal relationship with spirit, God, nature, whatever you want to call it, the universe, that's fantastic. Whatever you do to get that, that is awesome. I think that this is just one level of a reality that is multifaceted. So I think that it is great to have that relationship, no matter what you call it. And it's also great to get together with other people. But when you start forcing it on other people, when you start making it mandatory, when you start absolutely grabbing onto other people and making them do what you tell them to, that is no longer about a relationship with God. That is about a relationship with power. And it is you that does not have it. So we need to start talking about these issues. We need to start conversing about what religion means, what spirituality is, and what politics means. And yes, it's going to offend people. If you are offended, you have thought. And it is important to think. Think for yourself. Think for what matters to you. So I'm encouraging you. And yes, it's been a while since I made a video, and this one will just be one of a series. Let's talk about religion and politics. Please give me some ideas. Let's talk about some things specifically. You can do that by commenting below. If you were interested in my shirt, Voluntary Voodoo, that's what I call what I believe. If you want to get into that, I'm going to be releasing videos about that as well. If you like the shirt, if you like anything, maybe you don't like the shirt itself, you're not into voodoo, you're not into voluntarism, check out our store, Aquarian Anarchy. The links will be below. We have a bunch of products, and some of them are political in nature, some are spiritual in nature. And we have a lot of them, and they're good. I like them. This one's my favorite right now. But comment, please. I want to have a discussion. I want to reach out to the world and say, what do you believe? How do you believe it? Whether you're dealing with politics or you're dealing with religion or both. If you find me offensive, let me know. If you find what I say wrong, let me know. I want challenged. I want to have to think. I want to have to prove what I believe. We have to start challenging ourselves. We cannot be given a cookie cutter opinion and follow it. We have to think for ourselves. That's how you become an individual. That's how this world gets based in individuality, on voluntary cooperation amongst people. And that's where we're going. Thank you very much. This has been Aquarian Anarchy. And again, like, share, comment, and visit the store. Buy yourself a t-shirt, maybe a tapestry. Who knows? We even have stickers. Thanks a lot. Stay free.